hard to believe that it's already been a year since Whitney Houston died on the eve of last year's Grammy Awards. But according to sources in E! Online, friend and music mogul Clive Davis paid tribute to the legend by what else? Playing her music at last night's pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. That is the same place that Houston was found dead just before last year's party. And tonight is music's big night. The 55th annual Grammy Awards kick off live in Los Angeles in about 12 hours. But we, right here this morning, giving you a special preview now with two of our favorite entertainment guests, entertainment journalist and pop culture expert Jawn Murray and U.S. Weekly senior editor Bradley Jacobs. Gentlemen, last year belonged to Adele, but this year it is very much a boys' club at the Grammys. Tonight's major nods, male artists, fun. Mumford & Sons, Frank Ocean, Kanye West, Jay-Z. It doesn't end there. The most coveted album of the year, also male-dominated. The nominees, I sound like a presenter. I'm so excited. The Black Keys, El Camino, Fun's album, Some Night, Babel by Mumford & Sons, Frank Ocean's album, Channel Orange, and finally, Blunderbuss by Jack White. So, gentlemen, your predictions. Let's start with Jawn. Who do you think is going to take it home?
I think it's going to be a big night for Frank Ocean. Frank is having what I like to call success day esteem. He has one of the most critically acclaimed projects of 2012. His peers love it, even though it hasn't been that commercially viable. So it hasn't done extremely well at retail. It hasn't been huge, massive radio hits, but clearly the industry loves it, which is why he's in so many categories.
Which is amazing because he hasn't sold more than 1 million albums, which, you know, is not a lot in terms of sales. Or did I just say albums?
It's all right. We still use that word too, Deb.
Okay, well, so Brad, are we expecting any big surprises at tonight's show?
I don't know about big surprises. You know, what you're going to see is Justin Timberlake open the show, and he has not performed on the Grammys for 4 years. But, you know, he has a new album out in a few months, and he has a single Suit and Tie. I feel like that is something that's really going to be drawing people. I don't think you're going to see the ratings that we saw last year, which was Adele's big year. You know, Adele had the biggest album since Thriller, and she took home all those Grammys. I don't think it's going to be quite that big, but of course, you know, you do have all those artists nominated that you mentioned before, all those male artists, plus you're going to see Taylor Swift perform, and Kelly Clarkson and Rihanna doing a duet with Bruno Mars and Sting. Sorry, all three of them together doing a mashup. So, I mean, there are a lot of kind of fun things going on tonight.
What's so amazing to me, because everybody's really talking about this, and I was going over some of the clothes that the artists were wearing last year, and it's just, you know, there's less material than most clothing that the average person wears. This is aware of this. They sent out a dress code. Jawn, what do you think? You think that's actually going to fly, or you think they're going to just challenge it?
Deb, I think they're underestimating these artists. You can be creative and innovative without being half naked. I mean, there was an artist named Dottie Peoples who in 2002, she wore an American flag gown, and she was in the gospel category. No one in the mainstream knew her prior to Grammy night, but she was in all the celebrity weeklies and all the fashion magazines just a week later. Then you had Lady Gaga, who wore the meat dress a few years ago, and the only flesh she was showing came from a cow. I mean, there have been so many artists, from OK Go, who was dressed up like high fashion sword fighters one year. You can cover up and still be innovative, and I believe we're going to see creativity at its best tonight.
Well, yeah, and Brad, maybe this goes to your point that the Grammys are not going to get the kind of viewership that they got last year, in part because, you know, who wants to see somebody wearing, you know, a buttoned-up, I don't know, dress?
I can't wait to see, you know, the person come in all black, you know, up to here in, you know, in response to this. Note that all the artists be demure. I think it's very ironic, you know, this is rock and roll, and for the Grammy, you know, folks to come out just a few days before the event and say, oh, by the way, you know, don't show any flesh, don't show anything puffy. I like that. That suggestion. You know, I think of some of the greatest outfits in Grammy history, like Jennifer Lopez in that Versace dress, Versace scarf that you showed about a minute ago. You know, that Toni Braxton in her butt-bearing dress a while ago. You know, these are some of the greatest moments in fashion history, and I just think it's strange that the Grammys would suggest people kind of tone it down.
Yeah, absolutely, because it almost shows the sort of flair, the creativity, the provocation that all of these artists harness in order to make their music so spectacular. All right, we're out of time, gentlemen. Jawn Murray and Us Weekly's Brad Jacobs. Really appreciate your insights on this. Lots of fun. Thanks.